Dear students, now in the earlier video we have discussed what is a perfect competition. As a part of market structures, we have already discussed what is a perfect competition. It is a market. It is a market where there are large number of buyers and sellers, consumers or customers are fully aware of the product. They are knowledgeable. No one, there is a free entry and exit and all. Now the other side of the coin, there is another market structure that we call them as imperfect competition market. What is imperfect competition market? Imperfect competition is a market where there are certain imperfections. That is, whether the buyer's number is low or sellers are large, at least imperfect, which is imperfect, which is not perfect. By this, you can now understand the imperfect competition market is a market which is completely opposite to perfect competition market. Now, what is this imperfect competition market? You know. Now, let us again classify the imperfect in the imperfect competition markets. You have monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly, and the last one is monopolistic competition. Monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. Now, let us now discuss what is monopoly market. What is a monopoly market? A monopoly is a market structure where there is only one producer, there is only one producer or one seller for a particular product. In other words, the single business industry. The other name for the monopolistic competition is the monopoly competition is the single business. No other seller will be there in this market. That is why this is the single business market. The entry into such market will be restricted. Why? Due to high cost. Another, impediments, which may be economic impediments here, in the sense the other impediments in the sense maybe due to economic, social, and other political aspects. Therefore, monopoly market is a single business market. Yeah, one such example to quote you, most probably you may know this brand called Gillette. Gillette. We call them as Gillette. It is a razor blade. Gillette is a company which produces razor blade. All men and women's personal hygiene product. So it enjoys monopoly because wherever you see these products, you may come with razor for men and Venus for women. So Gillette, this product is one such example for monopoly. When there is single seller or producer of a commodity or service, the market structure is called monopoly market. A pure monopolist to be taken who has full control of the supply. The monopoly market, the buyer, the sorry, pro- producer or seller has full control over the supply. That is, therefore, a firm producing a product which has no effective substitutes through the products of any other form or any other sense, that even though the monopolist may be making abnormal profits, the firms cannot encroach on these profits by producing substitute commodities. Therefore, monopoly market is having certain common features. It is being a single seller. First, single seller, full control, and there is no close substitutes. One firm, one industry. There will be one firm as said single seller, one industry. There is no distinction between the firm and the other feature is entry is restricted and have control over supply. So all these are the features of monopoly market. Monopoly is said to exist when one firm is the sole producer. Monopoly, therefore, is said to be existed when there is only sole producer. When there are few producers, okay, this has you by this by now you have understood what is monopoly. Imagine, on the other hand, when there are only few producers, we used to say that market as oligopoly. A second condition which is essential for a firm to be called monopolist is that there must be no close substitutes. Therefore, the concept of market power applies to an individual enterprise or to a group of enterprises acting collectively. For the individual firm, it expresses the extent to which the firm has discretion over the price that it charges. The baseline of zero market power is set by the individual firm that produces and sells homogeneous products. Therefore, since all the firms sell the identical product, the individual sellers are not distinctive buyers. The buyers care solely about finding the seller with lowest price. In this context of perfect competition, all firms sell at an identical price. In monopoly, it is not. In monopoly, it is not possible. Accordingly, the standard definition for market power, the standard definition of market power is defined as the divergence between the price and the marginal cost. This is about the monopoly. The next kind of imperfect competition market is oligopoly market. What is oligopoly market? Oligopoly market is a situation in which a particular market is controlled by a small group of firms. Small group of firms control the market. It is a market or industry dominated by small number of sellers. Such sellers or firms we call them as oligopolists. Because there are only few sellers, each oligopolist is likely to be aware of the actions of others. The decision of one firm influences the others. Here, since the market is oligopoly, where there are only few sellers, the decision taken by one particular seller will influence the other sellers. Let us say this an example of you all know that particular fancy instant noodles. In the category of noodles, the popular manufacturers are Nestle's Maggie, Sunfreeze EP, Nissin's Top Ramen, and also Nos soupy noodles. For example, all these examples will come under the category of oligopolists. In an oligopolist market, therefore, in an oligopolist market, there are small number of firms so that sellers are conscious of their interdependence. The competition is not at all perfect and the rivalry is high. Given that there are large number of possible reactions of the competitors, the behavior of the firms may assume various forms. Therefore, the oligopoly is a situation where competing in the few firms will compete. Under oligopoly, there are two main characteristics. The number of competing firms being small, each firm controls an important portion of the total supply. Firms control supply. And the new entry here in this market also, the entry is hard. The entry into the market is hard. I can say the other professional examples like aircrafts. You know Boeing, right? You know Boeing flights and all. Wireless communication, media and banking, etc. All these are examples of oligopoly. In an oligopolistic market, the collusive oligopoly is that form of oligopoly in which all the firms decide to avoid competition and determine the price and quantity of output on the basis of cooperative behavior. The oligopoly, again in this oligopoly, you have two things, two kinds. Oligopoly, you have two categories: collusive and non-collusive. What is collusive? When I already discussed said that there are only few sellers or producers. When these few sellers or producers came together to an understanding and decides to cooperate each other and fix the price, that is collusive, and the exact opposite is non-collusive. In collusive there is a cooperation, in more cooperation. In non-collusive there is more competition. This is about monopoly and oligopoly. In imperfect markets, you have learned what is monopoly and what is oligopoly. Coming to the next, you let us discuss about the other one of the other category, that is duopoly. We already said mono means single seller, oligo means few number of sellers, and you know the word duo. Duo means there are only two sellers. Duo means there are only two sellers. Duopoly. It is a situation in which two companies own all or nearly all the market shares for a product. It is a specific type of oligopoly where there are only two producers exist in one market. In reality, this definition is generally used where only two firms have dominant control over the market. In the field of industrial organizations, it is most commonly suited form of oligopoly due to its simplicity. What is duopoly then? We already said that duopoly means only two number of sellers and too many buyers. When there are only two number of sellers and many buyers, duopoly comes into case. The famous examples for duopoly companies are Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Both have both have Pepsi. Pepsi has the drink Pepsi. Coca-Cola has the Coke. Pepsi has Pepsi has Slice. Coca-Cola has Maza. Pepsi has 7 Up. Coca-Cola has Sprite. Pepsi has some water company like what it is, some water bottle company. Coca-Cola has Kinley. That means duopoly market. Pepsi and Coca-Cola rule the soft drink industry. So we can quote them as duopoly. And the next category in the four competitions is monopolistic monopolistic competition. What is monopolistic competition? It is a type of imperfect competition such that one or two producers sell products that are differentiated from one another as the goods but not perfect substitutes. There is differentiated, they sell differentiated products, but such particular products are not substitutes. Consumers may like some special thing in such particular brands. A firm takes the prices charged by its rivals as given and ignores the impact of its own prices or on the prices of other firms. A monopolistic competition A monopolistic competition is a form of market structure where large number of independent firms monopolistic where large number of independent firms they supply products with slight differentiation but not they are not treated as not perfect substitutes. They are not treated as perfect substitutes. Neither any legal nor any economic barriers. So people can enter or exit So in order to enter or exit, there are no legal or economic barriers. The product differentiation is the only characteristic that differentiates between the company. Example, you have such examples of soaps: Lux from Hindustan Unilever, Little, Dove, etc. And quote some example: shoes. One particular monopolistic competition market is shoes. If you observe, in shoes there are different brands. You have Bata, you have In Blue, you have Skechers. Each product has their own product differentiation. Happenstance, Bata, In Blue, Skechers, etc. Each product has their own characteristic, their own nature of the product. Each firm is therefore the sole producer of that particular brand. In addition to product differentiation, the other basic characteristics of this are: there are large number of independent sellers and as well as buyers. Relative market share of sellers is more or less equal, and a product differentiation is the only characteristic that identifies them. So by now you have understood what is perfect competition market in the earlier video, and in this video you have understood what is monopoly, what is duopoly, what is oligopoly, and what is monopolistic competition. Thank you.